Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us an outstanding guest are going to share with us information that we get once a year, and hopefully we will use this information all during the year. We're going to be talking about Juneteenth cultural. The Committee of Lake County, Mrs. Sylvia England to my immediate left, and Mrs. Johan Cotton Wilson to her left. They're the co-chairs of the Juneteenth Cultural Committee of Lake County. We also have to Mrs. Wilson's left, Anton Matthews. And Anton is the marketing committee chair of the Juneteenth Cultural Committee of Lake County. And the anchor person is Akima Reed, marketing chair. Marketplace chair. Mm-hmm. And if you've been to Zion, Illinois, you've seen Marketplace there, an exciting place there. Of the Juneteenth Cultural Committee of Lake County. So first of all, I'd like for each person to tell listening audience a little bit about your own personal professional background. Lake County is approximately 750,000 people, but there's probably 100,000 people on Comcast that may be listening. So it's a possibility we go online in Kenosha County, Lake County, Cook County, and also we're online. So people all over the world will be knowing about the Juneteenth cultural program. So Sylvia, tell us a little bit about who is Sylvia?
I am a retired educator.
Okay.
Presently, I am working on researching the Underground Railroad in Lake County, the United States, and the world. So I've done a lot with the research for the Underground Railroad, and that is why I am so passionate about the Juneteenth celebration.
Okay. Johan Cotton Wilson. Yes. Tell us a little bit about Johan.
Well, most people would probably know me by my employment with the College of Lake County.
Okay.
I've been employed with the college for over 20 years. And so I've been in the area about that same time working in outreach.
Okay.
So I've come to know quite a few people in the community and have had the opportunity of assessing needs and that type of thing in the community to see that a celebration of this magnitude is definitely in order.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, Anton, I'm going to give you the same opportunity that I've given the co-chairs.
We appreciate it.
Tell Lake County a little bit about your personal and professional background, as much as you want us to know.
Sure, absolutely. Anton Matthews, and first and foremost, thankful and blessed to be here with you this evening.
Yes.
We're appreciative of this opportunity. And just a little bit about myself. So I am a Waukegan Main Street board member. I have been so for the past close to about 3 years now. Mm-hmm. Born in Waukegan, raised in North Chicago, and kind of back here in the area and just passionate about giving back to the community. So, I just want to just get involved as much as possible, and kind of which leads me here to your show this evening. So again, just thankful to be here this evening.
Well, we're going to learn more about this as we go along, and but at this time we're going to give Akima Reed an opportunity as an anchor person to tell our listening audience a little bit about Akima.
Hi, my name is Akima Reed, and I have worked on quite a few community ventures with Mrs. Sylvia England, and she brought me on board to be a part of Juneteenth. My professional career, I'm in the pharmaceutical industry. I have a background in regulatory affairs and change management with a slight background in engineering. Most recently, I have created a page on Facebook, which is Tea Time with Kima J, which I talk to people in the community. I ask a lot of questions to make them think outside of the box, to kind of help our community, showcase things that are going on, help a lot of our businesses that are, uprising for our Black community. So I think it's very important for me to be involved in Juneteenth and working with the community. And thank you all for this opportunity, and thank you for bringing me onto the show.
Oh, thank you. At this time, Sylvia is going to tell us why was the Juneteenth Cultural Committee of Lake County Incorporated formed?
Well, I'm going to shift that right on over to Jahan Cotton Wilson, and she's going to give us all of that information.
Okay.
Well, the committee was born, like I said, out of a need to try and help to meet the needs of the African American community, personally as it relates to education, as well as economically as it relates to the development of our community. So the Juneteenth celebration just happened to be a great platform in which we could use to try to do that for this community. The whole celebration is about celebrating our history and our culture, and since the beginning, our people have always encouraged self-improvement in education and that kind of thing, and working together collaboratively, sharing resources and that kind of thing. So it was almost like just a natural. We love to celebrate as a community, but then to use that platform to deal with the issues of the day to help our community further grow and develop. So the committee came about as a result of that. We were formed in 2003. I think we did our first Juneteenth celebration in 2001. And we did that under the banner of Waukegan Downtown Association at that time, that's now Waukegan Main Street. I was serving on the board at that time, and I took the idea to the board, and we did it for a few years. And then after that, when I went off the board, I brought the celebration with me because I saw the need for us to rally together to do something for us. If it was going to be about us, then it needed to be us doing it for us.
Okay, now maybe, Sylvia, you can tell us, Johan mentioned it's about us. Why is it about us? And I guess when I say us, I mean the African American community. You want to shift that back to her again?
I'm going to shift that back to her again so she can tell us about Juneteenth.
Okay.
Well, for me, developing the cultural committee, a lot of people don't realize that it's the culture that connects you to your identity. And if you don't know about your culture, you don't know about who you are. Juneteenth does a lot of things, and one thing it does, it allows us to look at our past, from where we come from, to where we are now, looking at our present, to where we're trying to go as a people. So that's why it's about us. It's going to take us to come together to work out any issues that we have in our community.
Well, the community may not know about the Emancipation Proclamation. Tell us the significance of the Emancipation Proclamation.
The significance of that document is that it specifically ties the celebration to that document, because it was that document that actually freed the slaves that Abraham issued, that actually was a declaration freeing all slaves. And so it's one of 3 celebrations, I think, in our history that actually is that's actually tied to an official U.S. document. So for African Americans, it's the Emancipation Proclamation.
And it's my understanding that Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation with January 1, 1863.
I believe it's 1865.
1865.
1865.
You guys are the experts, so 1865.
Right, it took 2 years.
Now, it is a difficult time trying to get the information out to the people across the country.
It is, and see what happened was the proclamation was signed in 1863, but it took 2.5 years for the
Okay.
last
I know it's
slaves.
1863 is
Well, see,
somewhere
but
there.
18, that's why they say 1865 is when they were actually freed, because they didn't get the word until then. The last slaves in Galveston, Texas.
Okay.
So he may have signed it in 1863, but the word didn't come out to the last of the slaves in Galveston, Texas in 1865.
Why did it take so long, Sylvia? I'm picking on you again.
Okay, well, I can answer that. Probably because they didn't want the slaves to know that they were free in
Okay.
Texas.
Okay.
So,
And they use the Pony Express
Pony
too.
Express
And then,
Transportation was nothing like we know it today. So
Right.
it took a while for the word to trickle down. And then as we look at that in our history, word of mouth was the main mode of communication, and for many years that continued to be our mode of our way of passing down our history. So, when the advent of the celebration came about, it was also a way of continuing to share that history generation after generation by word of mouth. So as the last slaves got the word in Texas, as they began to move out, then that's how it was able to, go across the United States. As the different people moved to the different areas, they continued that legacy.
now we can start connecting the dots. How did they get from, I guess, Texas and across the country? How there was no Pony Express, but there's a difficult time trying to get it. I think, Sylvia, you mentioned something called the Underground Railroad.
yes, so the Underground Railroad was that whole secret society. So there's not a lot of written information. You have to go back and do a lot of digging in the archives.
Okay.
But the Underground Railroad supposedly ended in 1863, but still there were some abolitionists that were still helping slaves, even though they were free. So that whole thing with the Underground Railroad, after 1865, it existed, but in a different method.
Okay,
There's
tell
more.
us about some of the methods were used, because it's my understanding even the area that you live in had some significance of the Underground Railroad on the slaves traveled to Canada.
So there's a lot of history.
In other words, they were traveling, they were, I guess at night,
By feet.
by feet.
They
right.
walked a lot. There were trains, there were boats, there were covered wagons, there were horses, but mostly they walked. And this whole idea of the Underground Railroad, there's been a lot of work done on the Underground Railroad, but sometimes, people want to say that we gave them a lot of help, but I still think they walked a lot. They did a lot of walking to get from place to place. But then they would go to a station, and that station, would give them the food, maybe give them some new clothes, and help them get to the next place.
Yeah, the Gurnee, Illinois can contribute to that. I think there's a home that's called the Mother Rudd Home that the slaves they will stay there during the day. And that means in the basement, because I have taken a tour myself in the basement of the Mother Rudd home to see how the conditions were, and then at night, then they would travel by feet.
Yes.
Dr. Dorsey, Professor James Dorsey.
Okay.
He's a former colleague of mine who is now deceased. Did a lot of work on the Underground Railroad in Illinois.
Okay.
So on that day of the celebration, we will have his work exhibited in the Historical Society, because he showed a lot of the pathways that included a lot of the homes that were on that route to the Michigan, Lake Michigan. And so a lot of places, some of them still standing, some of them not. But he did highlight a lot of those places right here in Illinois. So I think that would be wonderful history for the community to come out and check out.
And so, Dr. Brooks, if you're alluding to the fact that I may have remnants of an Underground Railroad station at my house, I'm working on that. Yes, I'm doing all the research. I'm checking the names of the owners of my house. But where my house is located is right on that trail that would lead straight to Lake Michigan or even further north. So.
Okay, so your home is historical.
I do live in a historical house. We do events there now, so that's something that's coming in the future.
Well, you mentioned about the future, and I know you have a lot of information about Save the Date. So tell us about the significance of the date that you're telling our community to save.
So we're asking you to save the date for June the 16th. June 16th is going to be our 15th annual Juneteenth Conference and Festival, and it's going to be held at Bowen Park, which is in Waukegan on Sheridan Road. So come early. We're going to have a call to order at 11:45, and our program is going to start at 12 o'clock with the Emancipation Proclamation being either read or played. But let me just give you a little idea about what we're going to do that day.
Okay.
So one of the big things is going to be our main stage. We're going to have entertainment on our main stage. We're going to do things like the history of music. We're going to have church choirs on board, bands, musicians, dancers, comedians, spoken word, different speakers, and we're going to have a headliner. So someone by the last name of England is possibly our headliner. We're looking for a play that would represent Juneteenth or that whole struggle. We're going to have a wax museum. The wax museum is going to include students from the area. We're pulling from Waukegan High School, North Chicago High School. We're pulling from churches. So we're looking for students to be in our wax museum. And that wax museum basically is going to be a character, either someone who was an abolitionist, or we're looking to do unsung heroes in Lake County. So that would be one of the things, or one of the things. We're going to do an African American museum. We're looking for local artists, and then we're going to be adding artifacts. So lots of artifacts. So come out so you can see some of the African American artifacts that we have collected and see some of the work that our artists in this area has produced. The historical house will be open on that day, so we'll get an opportunity to go in there. There's going to be some pieces in there. We're looking to put Dr. James Dorsey there. We're going to put people like Reverend Lightfoot. We'll probably have Dr. and Dr. Brooks in there because they're definitely two of our heroes.
What significance do they share?
They are my heroes, okay? So that's enough. We're going to be doing some other displays inside of the historical house. We're going to have a children's corner with activities and storybooks, storytelling, crafts, canvas painting. We're going to be honoring our elders. So if you're 75 and above, we do want to honor you. So please come on that day. You can contact anybody who is on the committee. We would love to have you out that day because we're doing all of this because of our elders, because of the footprints that we're walking in. We're going to have a wellness area, and we're going to have our Greeks out doing some stepping and some strolling. So come on out. We're going to have our outings where you bring your lunch. We're going to have tables set. We're going to be looking at those tables. So Greek, bring your colors. Come on out. We want to see you on that day. The other thing is we're going to do, I had two more things. We're going to do a situational square. And we start off by calling it a discussion square, but we decided that we were not going to have enough time to really delve into the topics that we have. Some of the topics would be, of course, Juneteenth. We're going to talk about Juneteenth. The history of Lake County African Americans. We want somebody to come in and talk about Frog Island, okay? Because a lot of people don't know about that history. The role of the church, education, the trends in education, wellness. We know that if you don't take care of your body, you're not going to be able to do anything to help anybody. So wellness is going to be a topic. Why Black Lives Matter, that's a topic. And economic development. So I'm going to turn it over to Akima, and she's going to talk a little bit about the marketplace.
Okay, you have it, Akima.
That's your cue.
Okay, so we do have a marketplace, and it consists of 3 sections, and that is an informational vendors. We're looking for vendors who would like to share information such as health, fitness, or if you have a college or whatever the case may be. We're looking for people to have a table for information. The vendor cost for the information section is $25. We also have a section for merchandising. So if you have, a business around town, you're selling shirts or you're selling jewelry, purses, or anything that would contribute to Juneteenth, we're looking for vendors, spaces. The vendors for that is $75. There is an additional $23 for a permit to sell for that day. And also we're looking for restaurants or food vendors, so people who can sell a variety of food. We do have some sort of soul food, we're looking for jerk food, different types of food to reflect our culture. So we're looking for people who would like to be a part of that. The vending cost for that is $125. And then there's a $23 fee for the permits. Anything that is bought that day would have to have a receipt. Anything that goes for Juneteenth would have to have a receipt, and it has to be purchased that day. So if you're interested in being a vendor of any sort, you can reach out to me. My name is Akima Reed. You can find me on Facebook at Kima J. You can also contact anyone on this panel that is part of the Juneteenth celebration. We also have a Facebook page where you can contact us there. And we also have in the marketplace a skilled demonstrator section. So this section is for, for example, they did butter churning back in the day. A lot of braids of our ethnicity, we like to wear braids. So we want someone to show, the people how to do braids. And that is a free section to be a part of. So we kind of really want people to come out and see what our culture is about and experience what they did back in the day and kind of bring that feel back, because it's very important. So we're looking for volunteers to help out also in that area. So if you're interested, you can reach out again to anyone on this panel or any of the committee members.
Well, it seemed like Anton, Matthew,
I guess I'm up, huh?
Yeah, you are like
Sure.
an anchor person, and you have a terrific job ahead of you, because what they have presented, you have to get it out to Lake County. How do you do it?
We have to get it out to the people, and that's a great question, Dr. Brooks. And our methods of doing that is going to be primarily social media, which again, as Kima alluded to, our Facebook page is Juneteenth Cultural Committee of Lake County. You can find us on Facebook. Our website is www.jcclc.com. and you know, we're going to be getting these things ready. Going to be tons of pictures, tons of information, and we're going to start putting up the yard signs everywhere and flyers at every restaurant and gas station, things of that nature. So it's really going to be a full-fledged effort to really make sure that we get the word out to the masses and make sure that this thing is definitely well attended. So again, if you want to participate in any sort of way, shape, form, or fashion, definitely feel free to reach out to us, and feel free to share on Facebook. You know, we're going to start putting some things out on our social media feed. So definitely, please, sharing is for caring. So feel free to share the information, tell your friends, family, and come on down June 16th. We guarantee it's going to be a great time.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Okay.
This is
Now
yours.
that he's talking, it just kind of flows with what he was saying. As far as being involved as a vendor, if you go on Facebook, onto our page, the Juneteenth Cultural Committee of Lake County, there are forms with the vending information. So if you'd like to be a part of it and you need the prices, you can go on there and you can find the prices. We are collecting monies by May 31st, so we would need that in hand by May 31st. You can, we are collecting payments in the form of cash, check, or money order, and if you write a check, it would go to the Juneteenth Cultural Committee of Lake County.
Okay, fantastic.
Actually, I'm sorry, Dr. Brooks, if I can just add one more piece to that. Kima alluded to some great information there in terms of being a vendor, and so we're also looking for sponsors, and you're also able to purchase an ad in our ad book. So our sponsorship levels, there is $2,500 for silver, $5,000 is a gold sponsor, $1,000 for a bronze, low as $500 for a sterling sponsor, and $10,000 for a platinum sponsor if you feel so compelled. If those things don't interest you, you're also able to buy an ad in our ad book, and those range anywhere from $25 all the way up to $500, if I'm not mistaken, all the way to $500 if you would like to purchase something for our ad book. So there's numerous ways for companies and corporations to be able to also sponsor this event and be a part of this event. And again, we welcome everyone to be a part of this great event.
Yeah.
Okay, I noticed that on Oregon Drive in North Chicago, from I don't know, Green Bay Road all the way to Sheridan Road, they have honoring the honor flight, a flag there on honoring honor, so no one could miss it. And they're worse if they were wondering what is the honor flight, then they know who to go and contact. You know, this is the veterans that served in all the wars, and they had a trip to go to Washington D.C. You know, without any cost at all. You know, this. So I guess to what I'm getting at is that the more information you got out, you mentioned social media. You know, but I mean that. The media that people can see, you know, out there would attract them to come, because what you're trying to do, you're selling a great program, and we might talk about this, Johanna, again about the mission, the basic mission of the Juneteenth.
Well, our basic mission is threefold.
Okay.
The first thing, we're trying to galvanize the community. We're trying to ask the community to come together to help work in our own community.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is galvanize the community to take personal responsibility for education and their economic welfare through cultural togetherness and cooperative economics. That's one thing.
Okay.
Next thing we want to do is we want to celebrate our African American history and culture while we stimulate economic and physical activity in downtown Waukegan. Why downtown Waukegan? Because downtown Waukegan is actually the main county seat. Okay? And then lastly, we want to honor Lake County's contributions to the spirit of the abolition movement, because had there not been a movement, we wouldn't be free and we wouldn't be sitting here talking today. So that's the main mission of the committee.
Okay, we haven't mentioned But where's it going to be at, though? Where's it going to be? All this activity, where's it going to be taking place?
At
Bowen
Bowen
Park.
Park.
Bowen Park.
Now, where's Bowen Park at? For people that don't know.
We have the
1800
address.
North Sheridan Road,
Okay.
It's right off
Waukegan,
Greenwood.
Illinois.
Right off Greenwood Avenue
Mhm.
and Sheridan Road.
Greenwood and Sheridan Road. Okay, okay.
And
Right.
can I add, Dr. Brooks, that we're working under a theme, but many themes will come out on that day. But
Yeah.
we're working under a theme of rebuilding, restoring, and healing our community together. We can only do that together. So that's why we keep pushing community and trying to get people to come out and buy into what we're trying to do. Because we aren't experts, but no culture or no group is an island. We have to live and work harmoniously together. And that's why the community was really formed, to encourage that culture, claiming that culture and coming together so that we could live in harmony as well as reach out and spread that harmony across, communities.
And can I add one thing?
Oh, yeah.
So this is for Lake County. So we've reached out to Zion. We've reached out to North Chicago. We have reached out to Gurnee. We've reached out to places like the Lake County Museum. But I want to just give a shout out to the Waukegan Park District
Yes.
for allowing us to hold this festival at Bowen Park.
The Waukegan Park
Park
District.
District, Waukegan Park District.
It is in Boeing and Zion.
Bowen Park is in Waukegan.
Oh,
It's
okay.
kind of like on that,
Borderline.
yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, this is fantastic that you're getting and you also getting cooperation from the ministers. Didn't you have a session with the ministers to let them know what you're doing?
Yes, we did. We went and we met with the North Shore Ministers Alliance,
Okay.
and they were very, very supportive of our Juneteenth efforts. So they'll be there on that day.
And we actually have a lot of good community organizations that
yeah.
are buying into it. We have city support. We also have support from the YWCA. We have support from Waukegan Township. And I really don't want to start naming names because we don't want to leave out any and
Right.
offend anyone. But at the appropriate time, we'll be able to, put out advertising regarding our sponsors because we certainly appreciate any and everything that they have to contribute to this effort.
Well, actually, Juneteenth, you have it on the 16th, but did it happen on the 17th? Is that the date?
The date is June 19th.
Oh,
Okay,
19th.
but nationally, we try to align our efforts and activity with the national organization, and they celebrate the celebration every third Saturday of the month. And so it may not fall, the 19th may not fall on a weekend, so we just try to stay with the third Saturday.
Okay.
But June 19th, or Juneteenth, was coined from June 19th. That was the date that
Okay.
the slaves, associated, and that's how it became Juneteenth. So that phrase was coined, but it's actually celebrated the third Saturday in June.
How much are you really highlighting on the real significance of Juneteenth? I mean, from slaves that, from the Emancipation Proclamation and the flow of the movement. In other words, it's a movement.
It is a movement, and I'd like to say that Juneteenth reminds us of that spirit that our ancestors had, because they were able to endure such a horrific experience in life. And so that's why that's so significant, because even with the trials and tribulations that a person may endure in this lifetime, it's nothing in comparison to what slavery was about and the things that they had to endure. So if we come from a people who had that kind of strength, resilience, perseverance. I mean, those were important messages or legacies, if you will, that they left us to help us to live today, because we really should be following that path that they laid out before us.
Great.
Because each generation should be building upon what the previous generation left for them. And our ancestors left a lot. So we have a responsibility to try to build upon that for the welfare or the good of our community. And that's what we're trying to do with the celebration. And that's why it's important for the whole community to come out, because it's not about individuals, it's about the community.
And one big factor, I don't know, either one of you may home in on it, is political action, voter registration, and voter, all this effort that have been made since the Emancipation Proclamation that should be, is it being taken advantage of? Are you getting the word out to show how important it is for voting?
We, as a committee, we have not specifically focused on voter registration. In past celebrations, we have had some participation from organizations whose focus was that.
Yeah.
We certainly endorse that, but that's another reason why the committee was formed, because everything can't be celebrated in a day or in a weekend. Okay, so we want to take throughout the year to be able to create other programming, services, you know, strategic plans that's going to benefit the community throughout the year, you know, and then just come together annually for a main celebration. But the celebration is really just the platform again for us to deal with the issues in our community.
Now, one-day celebration, though, is that, you think that's going to be enough, or what should?
It's never enough, Dr.
That's
Brooks.
But
You know, these kinds of things take a lot of money, unfortunately. You know, so it's a struggle to even try and do what we're doing, but we're doing it because it needs to be done. So we'll just continue to try to plug, you know, until it happens, but, you know, we want to continue to do all we can do.
And I noticed you mentioned that you need everyone to participate.
We need everyone, everyone, because if you live in a community, either one of these communities, the things that are happening impacts us all, whether we have children in our household or not. You know, if you've gotten your children out of your household, you still have a responsibility to the community, you know, to be a part of what's happening in your community. And if everybody participates in the community, we could have viable, thriving communities, you know, that we live in. We wouldn't be concerned about the violence. We wouldn't be concerned about, you know, all of the negatives that's going on in our community, because we would be taking ownership of this community and be proud of what's happening in our community as a community.
Have you thought about the schools in Lake County? In other words, having essay contests within the schools about the Emancipation Proclamation. In other words, if you get the youngsters excited, then the parents are going to be excited, right? They're going to take it back to the parents.
I wish you could see all the plans and ideas that we've been talking about, you know, doing. It all won't be done in this year, but we're certainly working on it, you know, and like I said, you know, hopefully we will have enough enthusiasm that's supporting our effort here, that people will want to see more things happen throughout the year leading up to next year's celebration, and then maybe we can begin to check off the list of things we should be addressing.
You have benefited from, you started it, right?
Yes, sir.
From day one, and you're an outstanding person to have on the committee to build upon what you have done already. And there's a lot of new adventures that you bring to the committee that have not been done before, to enlighten it, to boost them on.
It's all, you know, I'm so tickled with the support that we've, you know, come into this year, Dr. Brooks. It's a blessing to just simply say. it's a blessing. But I don't think that it's by accident that all these people have come into my life,
Right.
to help with this effort, because it's something that our community needs. So, we've welcomed all of these people, and we're looking for all of you that are out there that still haven't come forth yet. We're waiting on you, because it's going to take the whole village, and this is definitely a village effort.
What about parade? I think in the past you've had the
We
parade?
have in the past. This year, our time was so short. We've literally pulled this together in about 2 months, and we still have a ways to go. So the parade was not a priority this year, but I would say certainly next year we should be able to get back to a parade.
And you mentioned about community organizations too. You have them, maybe they want to become a part of it and have something to present too.
We definitely want them to become a part of our marketplace, because we feel that we need to know who's in our community. A lot of people don't know the businesses that are in the community.
Right.
And a part of establishing the Juneteenth marketplace is so that they could network with one another, as well as expose what they have, their wares, or whatever programs they offer to the community, so that we can economically begin to look at how can we support one another in community and have that dollar circulate in our community before it starts to go out a few more times than it is currently. So that's the goal of having a marketplace, not only so they can just come out and sell their things, but so that people can get to know who they are, so we can support them.
Right, exactly.
The other thing, Mr. Brooks, or Dr. Brooks, is we really,
Just
really...
don't call me late for dinner.
I won't. I won't call you late. I promise you. With the churches, we want the churches to come out and tell their history. Talk about who started the church and when the church was started, and some of the things that they're doing now, and that would be a part of the marketplace.
Well, the marketplace. You want to tell us a little bit more about the marketplace, Anton?
If I could defer to Ms. Kima.
It's a lot of deferring going on here. Okay. All
Well,
right.
with the marketplace, we want to make sure that we reach out to those established business owners, but we also want to make sure that we reach out to those who are up and coming.
Okay.
We have a company called Culture Inc. They're just starting, and a lot of people are not aware of them. So we want to make sure we bring them out to highlight their services, because we need to make sure our dollar circulates in our community. And so it's very important that we do that. So that's why we're reaching out to the businesses, and this is a community invitation. So now you have the invitation to come to us and be a part of a historical moment in our community. So we do have demonstrators. Some people have skills that they want to showcase. Maybe you don't want to do this, but you may want to show the next generation how to do it, how to continue it on, because it's generational. And so it's important to our grandmothers, our grandfathers, and pass it on. So without those demonstrations, it becomes a lost skill. So that's kind of like what the marketplace is for, and we want to highlight our churches in the area. It's important that we have churches come out. It's important that the community knows what church to go to, what resources that the churches provide. I know one of the churches, Christian Faith Fellowship in Waukegan, provides services for reduction of reduced recidivism. Yes, and they help people get when they have what is it called, records, when they have misdemeanors or felonies, and trying to get that expunged or get it sealed. So there are services that the churches provide, food pantries, things like that. So we need to bring those out and highlight those in our marketplace so that our community knows what services we provide.
Well, we're getting pretty close to the most important part of the program, and that's the closing remarks. We definitely don't want to forget that. Let's sum it up, Sylvia, and about the Juneteenth. We call it a conference and festival. Why do we call it a conference and festival?
Well,
You
we
defer
call it-
again to.
We call it a conference and festival because we will have that particular segment with the Situation Square where we'll introduce discussions about those topics that Ms. England mentioned earlier.
Okay.
And then the festival is the rest of the activity we shared with you earlier today.
Okay, okay. Fantastic. Well, another thing too is Anton, you have a terrific job in getting the word around the county, you know, about this event. A lot of excitement. I'm sure that you're playing a lot of excitement to.
Absolutely, Dr. Brooks. This is something to be excited for, and you know, I just want to highlight that we're inviting the entire county out to this event. This isn't primarily Waukegan, North Chicago, and Zion, and though you know those specific markets, yes, we're keying in on, but this is for the entire county. So Highland Park, Buffalo Grove, Round Lake, wherever you live, this is an important event to want to be a part of and to want to attend. And one of the things that you're going to start seeing a lot more around town is our flyer, our Save the Day flyer. The official flyer is coming very shortly, but you're going to start seeing these save the dates. If you go into Hillary's to go get a rib tip dinner, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see this flyer. So just definitely keep your eyes open, and you are correct. I'm tasked with a great responsibility, but I'm confident with this great group of folks that we have here and others that is on our community that we will get the word out.
Mm-hmm. The significance of the Sylvia, you may want to talk about that, of the, or maybe Johan, I don't know who to refer this to, you know. The significance of the Juneteenth, back, I guess it started 1863 or 1865 on up until now. Maybe the emphasis was not placed on it down through the years. Had it been, you wouldn't have your job would have been a lot easier now. And I congratulate you on picking up the ball and taking it now. But each year, had it been done since that time, it would have made your job a lot easier.
Most definitely. But you know, one thing that the reason a part of the title has the festival in it is because to have freedom, that is a joy. So we want to celebrate that, and we don't want to take that for granted, because you look around the world, it's a lot of people not experiencing a lot of joy, you know. So we want to be thankful for that. But also, you know, it's important to know where you've come from and the things you've gone through so that you don't repeat that. And so that's why it's important to have these reminders. That's why it's important that Juneteenth reminds us historically of the milestone that we crossed when our people endured slavery. Okay, so that's something to be celebrated. You know, so it's important. There's so many things, you know, that we need to continue to do to make progress. And that's all that this is about. You know, and when we are no longer here, hopefully somebody else will be able to pick up the mantle. So we're hoping that Juneteenth, you know, is the platform where we come together from this day forward, you know, to see how we can come together to make our community better for those coming behind us because of what those that did before us.
You mentioned educators too. The educators play a great role because they have contact with the students, you know, in the school. So also, I was thinking about the libraries too.
So
you mentioned about what can the libraries do?
So this year the libraries are on board. They're going to be at Juneteenth. They're going to be manning our children's corner.
Okay.
Plus, after the celebration on Saturday, on the actual day, June 19th, I know the Waukegan Public Library will have lots of activities, not only for the youth, they will have some activities for adults also that day.
You mentioned storytelling, because there's some professionals out there I know the North Chicago Library used periodically bring out storytellers from Chicago. Again, they love to come out and tell stories about where we came from and where we're going, and so this type of thing.
There's some great storytellers out there. Just come out on Juneteenth and you'll
have
hear
them
the
there.
stories. Yes.
Yeah. Another thing too, you mentioned about the Lake County Museum that will, hopefully there will be exhibits, or they will have exhibits there.
Well, the Lake County Museum, this year they won't have the huge display, but we will have some artifacts from them.
Okay. Jack Bennett Center. That's in Boeing Park.
That's
too,
Boeing
right?
Park
Right.
also.
Will there be some activity there?
Yes. We're looking to put a play in the Jack Benny Center.
Okay.
But remember, at the Lilac Ledge or Lilac Cottage, we're going to be hosting the African American Museum.
Oh, okay.
So yes, we have a lot of things that we're going to put in there.
Okay.
We got some surprises, Dr. Brooks. We can't just tell the people everything. We got a couple of things, that's gonna surprise people. So just come on out. We guarantee you're gonna enjoy yourself.
Gonna have a good time.
Yes.
You're going to have activities you're working on to get them there, and after they get there, then you got surprises for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you didn't leave out the seniors. You did mention that too. They're going to be surprised too, right?
Right, we want to honor our elders.
Yeah.
One important message, Dr. Brooks, we'd like to leave, if nothing else, if nobody gets anything else out of anything we've said,
Okay.
we want one central message for Juneteenth to be: never give up hope.
Okay.
Never give up hope.
Right.
There's always, as long as you have breath in your body, there is hope.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope
I've
alive.
heard that somewhere before.
Keep hope alive.
That's a whole nother show, Mr. Brooks.
But what we want to do is we hope our Comcast family have really enjoyed the information that's been promulgated to the Center Navy, promulgated out there too. And here's a segment that we have not talked about very much. And it's a key segment because it percent of the population that make great contributions. To a matter of fact, it goes back to I guess Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the father of Negro history, then it's changed to Black history, and it was the miseducation of the Negro. He gave up his professional. It's a doctor and worked on this. Now he's one person, but there's many others that are giving up their profession, to educate. And what happened is that the education it helps all people, and not just a one segment, right?
Oh.
Yes.
And so we all should be interested in finding out what Juneteenth is about, and also what they could contribute to make this a better world. Because it's not only just one group of people. We all God's people. In other words, we may have come over here on different ships, but we in the same boat together now, right?
There you go.
And so that should give us really hope that we should keep hope alive and make this successful. So Sylvia, if we want to give a last word on this, how shall we end this up? We got Juneteenth. It's the 15th annual Juneteenth Conference and Festival, and Johan mentioned about the festival. Why it's a festival now? It's right. Learning experience in rebuilding, restoring, healing our community together. And it's going to be where?
Bowen Park, Waukegan.
And we're gonna see all the efforts that have been promulgated by our marketing director.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we want to see everyone at Bowen Park, 1800 North Sheridan Road, Waukegan, at the 15th annual Juneteenth Conference and Festival from noon until 6 p.m. Rebuilding, restoring, healing our community together. This has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.